guide stream of our free-to-play game called Onigiri. My name is Evil. My friend here, Dark, is joining me
Hey
as usual.
everybody, how's it going?
All right, so in this stream, we're going to talk about the control layout, the basic button configurations, if you will, of the game. How do you control the game, and just talk about the layout, how you can change it, and the different uh, inputs that you can have. All right, so real basically, we're playing it on the PS4, so obviously we have a controller. The PC will be different. This is obviously for the PS4 version. Let's start with the very basic. So how do we move around? So the left thumbstick is going to be where we're going to move our character. So as I change my left or as I push the left thumbsticks in different directions, it's going to move in that area. The right thumbstick is going to be my camera view. So my camera is always going to focus on the back of my character generally. As I'm running around, it's going to want to focus on the back of my character as I'm fighting as well. Sometimes it doesn't do that, and I can change the camera um, using the right thumbstick. Right, so as I move the right thumbstick around, I can oscillate around my character, and it's always going to have my character at its center. So everything I can see in my uh, view of focus is going to be against my character. Okay, so that's moving around, how to change your camera, and then we're talking about like how to change the zoom factor. So if I press uh, down on the right um, thumbstick, it's going to change my view. So there's three views that I can, or three zoom levels, if you will, that I can set the game to. So this is the in zoom, so I can zoom in really close to my character. I can press it once to zoom outwards into the middle zoom, and I can press it one more time to zoom really far out so that I can see my characters really far. This really helps me see the scenery a lot better. So if there's a bunch of enemies, I can see them with this view. If I wanted to take screenshots and whatnot, or if I wanted to play a little bit closer to my screen, I can use the different views here. So there's three that are sort of default. Now, if you have a mouse that's connected to your game console, you can actually refine that a lot more using the wheel portion of the mouse. So I can zoom in a lot closer than how I would be if I were to just use the controller. So this is me controlling it with a mouse here, so I can very controlled zoom more than what I can with the controller. All right, so that's the zoom. And then we have our D-pad. So we have the up, down, left, right. So let's go over each one of them. So up and down is to change weapons. So I have four weapons equipped, and as I'm pressing down, I can see that the UI is telling me that I'm changing weapons. And then after I press up, I'm changing weapons this way, right? And then left and right changes the bottom where I can use my various items. So there's 5 slots default for your items, and you can change your item layout any way you want. This is just the one of the default one that came with this character. I don't believe I changed any of this, but you can always change your layout. And left and right allows you to move around through the items. Also, there's also an area for what are sake. Sake is basically alcohol that you can purchase, and sake gives you the same effect or various effects that are helps to your character. So different sake gives different effect, and you use left and right to kind of circle through each one of them. And as you can see, as I reach to the end, if I press right again, it's going to go back to the other side. Similar to the left, it just kind of circles through. So that's up, down, left, right. The share button is basically to um, do a screen capture or to start a broadcast. That's pretty generic. The option button and the touchpad both open up your menu. So this both of those buttons open up this menu here, and when you're in the menu, the movement, the left thumbstick no longer moves your character around. Instead, it moves the pointer around so that you can navigate the menu system. But the right thumbstick still works so that you can still move your camera around. All right. So in your menu, your left thumbstick is moving the pointer around so that you can select various options. Okay. Um, so let's get out of the menu here. To get out of the menu, to cancel out of the menu, I would press the circle button, and that brings me back out to my game, where then I can move around. Okay, so let's talk about the buttons now. So the basic buttons for the basic layout is X is to jump. So if I press X, it's going to do a jump action. Square is going to allow me to use my item. So if I have a food item selected, if I use square, it's going to go ahead and use the item, and the item has a cooldown, and then I can switch to a different item and I can use that item. Same with sake. If I press square on here, it's going to use that sake. And so it's going to basically use items. Triangle is to do a target lock. So if I'm fighting an enemy, I can lock onto a target using the triangle button, and I'll show you this once we head outside of town, where I can show you the triangle button being used to lock your focus on an enemy and what you're going to look for. The last thing is the circle button is once you reach near an NPC, you can press the circle button to initiate the conversation with the NPC. All right, so that helps start the conversation. That also does the canceling effect of your menu, so using the circle button. And then your basic attack is your R1 button. Your skill attack is your L1 button. And your R2 and L2 kind of oscillates through the skills that you have. Okay? So that pretty much sums up all the buttons that are um, on the controller that you can control. All right. So let's briefly talk about the button layout. So in order to get to the button layout, you want to go to your menu, go to Systems, and go to Settings. And then in the settings, you have the option to change your graphics, your sound, and your controls. And so if you click on controls, you have a button that says button configuration. Once you click that, you have your button configuration laid out here. So this is the default one. So I showed you the one just for the default, and then there's a different one that for the pattern A. I personally don't use this one, but basically changes your default by a few things. So your basic attack goes to circle, a couple other things, but I generally use the default one. If you wanted to modify a button, you can go ahead and click the modify button, and you can click whatever button you want. So by clicking this menu comes up. I can press a button, and then it sets that button in as whatever uh, use that button is. So now I just changed the down button to use my skills. At any point in time, I can always go back to default. Remember that once you change your layout, you want to hit confirm to make that save. If you don't hit confirm, it's not going to save, and you're going to be wondering like, what the heck happened to my buttons? I changed it, but it never changed. Well, you never click confirm, so it never saved. Down below here are two sort of controls that don't have a button. Unfortunately, there's not enough buttons on the PS4 controller for all the functions, all the feature sets. So the Vanguard switch is unassigned right now. The battle mount is also unassigned. So in order to use those, unfortunately, you're going to have to give up one of these buttons in order to use that function. So a lot of times people give up the guard button, or they give up the zoom control. Oh, actually, I forgot to mention one really important function, which is guard, which is how to block. You're going to be doing this quite a lot. You're going to be blocking enemy attacks. If you time it perfectly, you're going to be able to perfect block, which deals no damage. To do the block, you're going to press down on the L thumbstick, the left thumbstick, I'm sorry, the one that you use to move. So you press down on that, and it's going to do a blocking motion, and then you can see your character doing a blocking sort of animation. And it's different for every weapon, but each one has a blocking mechanism. So that's what it looks like. Blocking is very, very important, so please make use of that. Okay. So going back to the button layout, um, again, like I said, these two are unassigned. You have to click on something to assign to them, and then make sure to hit confirm, and you'll have your button set. Yeah, that's pretty much it for button layout. I hope that you guys find that useful. And thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll catch you in the next stream. Thanks and peace.